Hi, Pastor Rob here. So you're thinking about becoming a member at Hillside. That's amazing, and we're really excited for you. So we have to begin that journey by talking about what membership is in the first place and why it's important. What are the benefits? What's the point, right? What's the big deal with membership? Can't I just show up and be involved? These are all great questions, and great questions that a lot of people have. And lots of people also have differing opinions on how church membership should be done. Let's start, though, by talking through a few misconceptions about church membership. A couple of misconceptions, actually, in particular. The first one is that sometimes people believe that church membership is a lot like joining a club, like joining the Elks Club out in town, or the Rotary Club, or a country club, or something like that. You join and you have certain privileges that others don't have, because you're a member, you now have things available to you that aren't available to people who aren't in the club. And I guess there's some truth to that. Members here get to vote on the few things that we vote on, and members get to use the facility with less consideration. So I don't want to talk those things out of existence, because, I mean, they do exist. It is a thing. Instead, I want to say that church membership is actually so much more than that. It's a much bigger concept than just joining a club. When you become a member at Hillside, you're really joining a family. You're saying, I've been here for a while, I've seen the good and the areas that need work, and I've examined this local family of believers, and I'm all in. I'm all in. When you become a member at Hillside, you're committing. You see, if I have a membership at the local gym, and I do, getting out of that membership is kind of as simple as calling or emailing and canceling that membership. No questions asked. It's a thing you can just stop at any time. But this is more than that. By committing to this family, you're saying, I'll be there through thick and thin. It's sort of an in sickness and in health kind of thing. Members of a local church don't run into something difficult and just quit on the rest of the family. So when you become a member at Hillside, you're not joining a club, you're joining a family. We'll talk more about what that in particular looks like and what it looks like practically to be a part of the Hillside family. And we'll do that in another video. The other big thing, the other big misconception and misunderstanding, I think, is that being a member of a local church is an option. Okay, don't hang up yet. Hear me out. Membership in a local body of believers is actually not an option according to how we see things in the New Testament church. I've heard the argument that says there's no verse in the Bible saying I need to be a member. And okay, I'll submit to you that there's no verse that says thou shalt become a member and put thine name on the rolls. I don't know why I just went King James there. I apologize. But while there's no specific verse or set of verses that commands you to be a member, I would say there's also no specific verse anywhere in Scripture that explicitly says there's a Trinity. And yet the Trinity is one of the essential doctrines in all of the Bible, in all of Christianity. The Trinity is essential. We could say that about a lot of things that we believe to be true in Scripture. So how do we know there's a Trinity? We look at everything in context and observe, and then there's really no other logical conclusion than that there's a Trinity. God is three in one. He is one being in three persons. The same applies to membership in a local family. See, Paul never wrote a letter to the whole church universally. He wrote letters to specific local churches. He wrote specific letters for specific reasons to specific churches. In the Corinthian church, there was a guy who was doing some awful things. And he didn't care that he was doing these awful things. And in fact, he was celebrating it. And Paul tells the local church at Corinth to purge the evil person from among you. Some versions say, throw him out of the church. Now, peacemaking and guarding the church and discipline, that kind of stuff, that is a whole other subject. But I bring it up because that person had to be a part of the church before he could be cast out of the church. You can't be cast out of something you're not in. There are many other scriptures that would tell us there was some sort of role being taken, some sort of way they were keeping track of people within these local churches. In the book of Acts, a problem came up that needed to be dealt with. This is in Acts chapter 6. There was a group of people within the local church whose widows were not being cared for properly. Widows and orphans are some of the most obvious and quintessential people among us that are to be cared for. One of the ministries that was organized and set up to care for these widows was overlooking some of them. So they updated what they were doing and put people in charge of that ministry to oversee it. Now, without order and roles, without them knowing who the widows were, that story doesn't exist. So I would say that the reason there's no explicit text that says be a member is simply that it was an obvious thing. It was just how they functioned, and it wasn't a question in need of an answer. But I think there are some people who believe in membership, but who would disagree with how we do membership specifically. And that's okay. It's totally fine. I get it. Because there's no prescribed way in Scripture to do membership. There's no way laid out in the New Testament that says do it this way. And I'm definitely not here to tell you that we have it all together and we have it all figured out and how we do it is the right way or the only way or even the best way. It's just how we do it here. So one of the benefits of membership here is that it helps us know as leaders who we're responsible for. It lets us know who we are meant to equip as leaders. See, we're held responsible for the people in our flock. It might not be as big of a deal in a smaller church setting where there are 30 or 40 members, but when you get into 70, 80, or 100 different people, that's difficult. It's difficult for leaders to keep track of everything, of what's going on in whose life and how we can pray for you and support you and encourage you and equip you. So for us, membership is important, so we have an actual list of folks who've committed themselves to one another and to the mission here at Dickinson and in Hillside. So I hope this was helpful for you as you think about and consider and ponder and pray about formally becoming a part of our Hillside family. Be blessed.